everyone, welcome today. And in today's news, we are going to see one of the most interesting topic, and which is personal to my heart. The one thing which we are going to see is nothing but SpaceX crew, which is carrying NASA astronauts, have returned back to Earth. So they were staying in ISS. ISS is nothing but International Space Station for 2 months. 2 months, and they have returned back right now. So with respect to it, a lot of news going viral, and if you just get into your regional news, national news, or whatever the world news all about, you can see some headlines that the NASA astronauts have went to the space and they returned back. All right. So those are the things that we are going to see. And before getting into this news, I want to say you that a lot of interesting things are there in this news. So you have to watch till the end to get the details about it. So that is one. And the second thing is, before getting into the news and saying that what is interesting in it, why everyone is talking about it like that, we need to understand what is SpaceX is, what is SpaceX was doing with NASA members, and who is Elon Musk and how he achieved it. So those are all the things that we are going to see in this video, which is a big video. Have some cup of water or coffee, and then just get into the news or details with respect to it. Let's get it forward. What is SpaceX? SpaceX is nothing but an American aerospace manufacturer company. It is a private owned company. It is not a company like government owned, like NASA is a government owned agency. And NASA is an agency which is owned by the government. And in our India, ISRO is one which is governed by our Indian government. So like that, SpaceX is not an agency for or agent for a government. It is a private owned company. And who owns it and who formed that particular company is Elon Musk. And the reason why Elon Musk is so famous is he started this company of thinking Mars Oasis. You might have asking the questions, or the question that may come into your mind is, what is that Mars Oasis is all about, right? So we will see that. But this guy had started the company just with 3 members initially 2002, and one main thing that he did was, his idea was to carry people from Earth to Mars. So those are all the things that he added in mind. Whenever this news has went through the news channels, many of the CEOs who were his friend as well, they just thought this guy went mad. He's saying that the people will be transferred from here to Mars like that. And a lot of his friends itself, like LinkedIn CEO, he said that he's watched some sci-fi movies, science fiction movies. So that's what he's talking about. But today, he have achieved that. What is that? And before that, we will see what is Mars Oasis is. Mars Oasis is nothing but a colonizations in Mars. Colonization in the sense, say for example, in early 16th centuries, British members, British East India Company, they came to Bengal and they have occupied certain part of India, right? It is called as a colonizations. Like that, his idea is to colonize Mars. You need to reserve certain thing in Mars. And in other words, funny way we can say, you want to plant a tree or plant in Mars. And this is what the reason that SpaceX company has been started. So by blank within 1 or 2 months, it is not something that can be started. At first, he's not having that much amount of money to travel from Earth to Mars. So when the company is started initially during 2002 and 2003, at that time he was just having 200 million US dollars, and the very cheap rate of moving one flight from Earth to the Earth orbit alone would cost around 60 to 80 million dollars, so which is something non-achievable, right? So with that, how this guy had came till the point from sending the people from here in the earth, NASA astronauts, to the international space station, and they came back. This is the thing that we are going to talk about it. If he had achieved this, why not he will achieve this in Mars? So that's what the question is being raised right now, and everyone is praising him. Before getting into the topic of this space crew members, we will see who is Elon Musk is and what a type of CEO he is. Elon Musk was a CEO of PayPal. So at that time there were a lot of issues were going on, and he was started to sell the PayPal, the company which he owns, for sending the online money a secure way. So what he did is like he sold that to eBay, and eBay had bought it for $200 million. At that time itself, with that $200 million, you would have spent and you would have sent some rocket to or Earth orbit or something like that. But he have not taken that particular risk. Whereas the thing what he had achieved is achieving an extraterrestrial life. So for that, he waited for it. At first, he started a company with 3 people. Right now, it had turned to 7,000 plus employees right now. And it is a great company actually. Like every American wants to work in that particular company because it is so much interested and the enthusiastic. So that kind of a company he had built in. So Elon Musk is a person who is also a CEO of another great car company called as a Tesla, where Wall Street is nothing but a bureau, like where the stock exchanges would be happening. Like we have Dalal Street, right, in India, Mumbai Stock Exchange, like that it is. And over there, they have said that Tesla won't be a stock, and they have removed it. And he made that particular stock goes into booms right now. So that kind of a CEO is Elon Musk. So when he was starting a company at that time, he initially analyzed what would be the price range of sending a particular rocket to a Mars or something like that. So he found that it would take around 60 million US dollars. And he went to Russia often, around 3 to 4 times, and talked with the peoples over there. And ICBM. ICBM is nothing but the rocket launch missile, which is used to hit an enemy target. So he went over there and talked with the peoples, but it never came to a conclusion where you would be using them. Rather, he got an hint that the actual price what the companies like Russia's are selling to him, right, the rocket, so that cost is actually 97% more than the manufacturing cost, whereas the manufacturing cost was just only 3%. So that's where Elon Musk had came to a conclusion: why can't we create a own vehicle or a own rocket which carries something commercial space from here to Earth orbit? Was the thinking. And later that particular idea had came into, and Falcon 1 was introduced and it was invented. Falcon 1. So Falcon 1, he was in a, during 2003 he said that I'm going to send a send a rocket to the space, and everyone was wondering, and this was something so eager in among the people as well, among public. Oh, someone is going out of the Earth orbit, right? Like that the trending was, it is at that point of time. Then US Navy, right, they approached this particular company. They have invested around some $200 million, and over there where the Falcon 1 had invented. So the image 1 is nothing but the Falcon 1. At that time they were carrying the US Navy flights, but it got failed. And the way it failed is like there is something called as stage 1 and stage 2 of the rocket. So when the rocket goes to a particular height in the earth, at that time what happens, I mean, the particles which would be present inside the rocket would get removed, it would get split, and only some specific part would go to the earth orbit. So these particular the stage 1 is being used to push the rocket in such a speed to outside the earth orbit. So when it comes to the earth orbit, it should come out of it. So like that it have achieved. But while getting out of the stage 1, I mean, while the rocket particles is getting out of the stage 1 from the rocket, there were some errors had happened, like the stage 1 kind of rocket and stage 2 kind of the rocket, while they are ejecting out, there were some misrupture had happened, and this had caused the failure for the Falcon 1, the launch one. And then second time also they have launched it, but this time the way it came out was like it was stage 1 and stage 2 of the rocket were plunged into it, and it was still going on like that. And while stage 2 things was trying to eject, a fire had happened, and this also went into a failure. After seeing this, NASA found there is something interesting these guys are doing, and that where these are the places where $500 million has been invested by the NASA into this commercial medium, and they directly went into the Falcon 9. And Falcon 9 is the one like which we are used, which SpaceX have used right now to move the astronauts from Earth to the international space stations. So at the third launch, that is the final time where the company will go bankruptcy itself if this fails. So there was no enough money, but they have launched it and it went out of the Earth orbit. So this time it became successful, but there were some slight error in the maneuver where the satellite was rotating like I mean, instead of one direction, it went into a rotation directions, and this caused some problem. So these are all the history about Falcon 1. Falcon 9 is the one that we are using it, and we will see like what is the use of this Falcon 9 is all about. Falcon 9 is extremely different from the Falcon 1. The reason is Falcon 9 came into a invention because Elon Musk still thinks that Falcon 1 used vehicles, right? We are not reusing certain stuff. The cost is still very high. Say for example, if a person is being moved from Earth to Mars and Mars to Earth back, so there is something, the space, the amount he spends should be very less. So that's what he thought. So later the reusability concept came into the picture. So inside Falcon 9 there is something called as a Dragon capsules that he reuses often right now. So it came to a more advantageous than the other rocket launches. Like whenever a specific rocket is being launched, it would get back those Dragon capsules, which is the place where what are the things that needs to be sent to the airspace, right? It would be present in this Dragon capsule, and this has been led to a success, and that's how Falcon Heavy has came into the picture, which paved a way for Dragon Crew 2 members. So Falcon Heavy is a rocket that they have launched recently in 2019, and it went to the International Space Dock Stations. It has docked the International Space Stations and then it returned back, but it have not carried any members inside it. Whereas the Dragon Crew 2, which recently had happened, right? It carried 2 of the persons, and they are NASA astronauts. They are not an ordinary persons. They are NASA astronauts, and they are well trained. they have been sent inside this particular flight, sorry, inside this rocket. Maybe in future you can also call it as a flight. I am just telling flight like that, but it's rocket. So what happened is they have carried, this particular Falcon 9, Dragon 2, it have carried the 2 members inside this rocket. It went to the International Space Stations, docked it. 2 months they stayed, and they came out. So this is the picture when they were coming out of it. So they went on 30th May and they came right now. So this paved a way that the extraterrestrial life may be achievable, something like that. So next on September, what is next is they are planning to send 7 more people from Earth to ISS, International Space Stations. They'll be staying for some times and they'll be returning back. So moving out of the Earth and coming in. So this they are going to do it often. So if this has been achieved, our closest planet is Mars. So whatever the Elon Musk has suggested and why he invented the SpaceX would have come to a conclusions like he might have achieved the extraterrestrial life, like that's what everyone is talking about. So when the people is coming out of the one of the unique thing is when the people are coming out of that particular rocket, right? So when they are reaching the Earth, at the time they have reached during the morning time. It was during the afternoon night. So at that time the Earth temperature and the temperature out of this particular Dragon to this one, like the ejection which was coming, right? It was around 3500 Fahrenheit it seems, but the people inside it had felt not more than 85 when the outside temperature is 3500. They have not even felt now more than 85 inside that crew, so which is one of the more advantage. The second more advantage of this particular Dragon 2 crew is like this particular docker which is being attached is having a fluid, and this fluid was is nothing but the fuel which has been used to go to the International Space Station and come back, right? So those fluid is of different kind where within a small space, like huge amount of capacity of fuel content can be stored. So one of the biggest disadvantage, like when you have an idea of going to the Mars, is like you will be going over there, but when returning back you should have some fuel over there. So that particular fuel, right, is being combustible and it is being used and it should be there for a long time so that they can return back. So and those huge amount of fuel has to be stored in a rocket is something that is not achievable. But the way they have stored the fluid, the way they have stored the fuel for this particular rocket is in a different way, that with less amount of space, like more energy would be generated. So which was something achieved in this particular launch. So that is why it is all talking of, taking so much interest, and even a lot of presidents and they have congratulating all the NASA astronauts who came back, as well as the SpaceX stations. So those are all the news that is hovering around. So that's it from today's news. And before going, like, I just want to ask you, like, what do you feel about this particular news? Like, is it something that the extraterrestrial life would be achieved, or no, it is something that is still would be taking around 50 years or 60 years like that? Please leave that in the comment sections and I'll reply once I see that. Thanks and have a nice day ahead. Bye.